There we go. And I just want to welcome everybody again. And for those of you, I think everybody knows me, but I'm Lisa with Recruiting for Growth, just in case you don't. And I'm really going to hand it over to Frances after I give you a tiny little description of her. She took on the Herculean task of getting me out of my head. And when I say humongous, that doesn't even touch the iceberg. But so after working with her for eons, not really, but she has gotten me to the point that at least I can kind of self-coach myself and get out of my head. Not always, but I do a much better job after working with her. And now, Frances, I'll turn it over to you. And I want to thank you for being here as well.
Oh, you're so welcome, Lisa. Lisa is not giving herself enough credit, as most of us do not, because we have those patterns of self-talk that do hold us back. And so I'm really thankful to be here with you guys. And I really want to, before I even begin, acknowledge all of you. You all have big missions in the world. You all are doing big things. You have roles and responsibilities, not only to yourself, to your clients, to your customers, but to your family and your communities. And that's a responsibility, and there's always challenges that come up. So the name of the game is, how do we walk in faith? Not as entrepreneurs, fake it till you make it. I have a saying, we're going to faith it till we make it. Okay. So it's about how do we, my goal is I'm a mindset coach. I've worked for some very large personal development companies and done some very exciting large events. And I will tell you the truth, my favorite thing in my career so far has been working for the RecruiterU and coaching clients like Lisa, who are facilitating the work that you guys are doing in the world by making those matches. And why we're in our head and how that holds us back. That's kind of what I specialize in. So before we get started, and I always like when I give presentations like this to give some practical tips and tools, things that you guys come away with where you can actually implement and apply. I'm all about that. I'm not one of those woo-woo mindset coaches, like we're going to visualize and manifest our way to millions. Like that's not how the world actually works. And so I'm a very practical neuroscience-based mindset coach. I'm really excited to share some of those tools with you today. Okay, so if y'all are ready to go, we're going to go. Okay, the very first thing that I would love to do is everyone on the call, if you will do this little calculation for me. On an average day, we're not talking about a hunky-dory day where everything just clicks into place. And we're not talking about stuff hit the fan challenging day either. Just a good baseline average day. How much time would you calculate that you are in some form of emotional distress? Okay, it can be, say on a scale of 0 to 10, it can be a 0.5, like a little white noise of stress, anxiety, overwhelm, kind of like overwhelm with to-do lists, fear of something in your business or life that you want to take action on, but you've been procrastinating on, kind of stuck in indecision. Any emotion, when I talk about emotions, we start breaking them into two categories: desired emotional state, distressed emotional state. You either feel good or you feel bad, okay? So if y'all just take a moment, let's take about 30 seconds to calculate and pop in the chat box. How much time on an average day do you spend in some form of emotional distress? Okay, good. Brandy's got 2. Thank you, Brandy. I'm going to tell y'all, before I became a mindset coach, I had the degrees, I had the training, and my number was 23. The first time somebody asked me this question, just so y'all know, I'm passionate about this work because I know how far it can take you, but I legit had insomnia, was not sleeping well. I was like, oh, 23, because I'm even stressed out when I'm asleep. So wherever you're at, you're doing much better than where I started. Okay, got some 3s, 1.5, 2, 6. Michelle, thank you for your honesty there. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to calculate how many work weeks this is, because essentially this is why this is important to get this as a baseline. It's easy to be a high achiever. it is not as easy to be a high achiever and not burn yourself out, okay? Not stay stuck in garbage self-talk about the things you're not doing, not accomplishing. And so we start understanding our emotions with, when you do the neuroscience-based mindset work that I help people with, you start viewing your emotions as an actual tool to help you reconnect into your instinct and your calling and your mission and take action with flow energy. Okay. So imagine yourself, and when you're in a distressed emotional state, anything that doesn't feel good, you're in some form of low level fight, flight, or freeze pattern, right? Indecision is a freeze pattern. We get scared that we're going to do something wrong, so we just don't make a decision, which essentially is a self-fulfilling prophecy most of the time, right? Annoyance, anger, those are fight patterns. And what happens is when we're in that state, this back part of our brain is activated, the survival part. We're essentially on an energetic frequency of there's a threat and I got to survive. And it becomes this white noise. And there's no judgment in it. But what we start to acknowledge is when we're in that state, the creative part of our brain gets shut down. There's only this little sliver going. Okay, do y'all feel that? You're conscious, you're aware, but you kind of get stuck in this hamster wheel of like, I know what I want and I'm trying all the things and I'm doing all the things, but this thing is not changing. So we acknowledge that when we're in any level of distress, we're actually cut off from our creativity, our proactivity, our resourcefulness, okay? Because we're in not risk-taking mode, essentially. So we want to step into faith and knowing what we're capable of, reconnecting to that infinitely intelligent creator of the universe that has a calling on your life, and tap into that more and more and more during the day, okay? So I do that with the power of mindset. Mindset work is essentially using your conscious thoughts to literally, physically rewire your brain and rewire your body because you have a better understanding of your brain and your body. Okay. Essentially, if you take your time over here, now we're going to do some math because everybody likes doing math at 7:38 in the morning. I'm in Central Standard Time. I don't know about y'all. Okay. If you take your number right now and you multiply that by 365 days a year, and then you divide it by 40, you essentially get the number of work weeks in a year where you are on a literal, physical, neurophysiological sense cut off from your highest, most resourceful, most proactive, most efficient versions of your brain. Okay? Those areas are turned off. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share because the average in a, whoops, here's my actual presentation. Okay, slideshow. Remember, in mindset coaching, there's no judgment. It's always about awareness, insight, awareness. How do you apply it? So in a very super unofficial poll, because remember, 98% of all statistics are made up, including that one. Okay. The average, when we did some unofficial polling of entrepreneurs, the average that we got, and you guys can see this is pretty close to even a small sample here, is 4 hours a day with some white noise of stress, anxiety, overwhelm, fear, procrastination, indecision. Okay. And when you do that math, that works out to 36 and a half work weeks where we're kind of stuck on autopilot, doing the same things in the same way and not getting the result that we want in our life. Once again, no judgment, but this is actually really shiftable because when we stop and we think, okay, whatever your number is, what could you accomplish in your life in that amount of time? Moving into flow energy. You either in fight, flight, or freeze, where you consciously shift into flow energy. That's where you're in your genius zone and you're doing things you love and you're doing things that you don't really love, but you're in that high gratitude, high energy state while you're doing them. So they're not that bad. Okay. That's the name of the game. We want to be in that state as much as possible. Okay. Now, how do we do that? The important thing, there's a couple of things. One, emotional regulation. Most people believe that emotions are unreliable. They're fickle. They're things that we need to push past or talk our way out of. That's not actually what they are. So here is, I'm going to paint a mental image for you, and you guys will never forget this for the rest of your life, okay? Imagine you're cooking, and you go to put your hand on a frying pan, and it hurts, right? What are we going to feel? We're going to feel massive pain. The longer we keep our hand there, the worse that pain's going to get. Now, the pain is actually your nervous system. The blessing, it's a blessing, right? The pain is not the problem. It's that your hand is on the frying pan that's the problem. So none of us as adults would go through our life spending an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours in a day with our hand on a frying pan while we're trying to cook a great meal for our family. And sitting there thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I control these emotions? Why can't I overcome the fear of marketing? Why can't I get all this stuff done? Okay, we wouldn't do that because we understand physical pain is essentially your body saying, hey, you're doing something that's not good for your physical body. If at all possible, you need to stop, right? And that's hardwired into us. Essentially, if we accidentally touch frying pan, we're going to jerk back, right? Okay. If you guys start, this is tip number 1, viewing emotional distress with that same razor accuracy, your entire life changes, okay? Because essentially, here you are, there's an experience and you get triggered and your emotions start giving you emotional pain, emotional distress, right? It doesn't feel good. In those moments, we oftentimes, whatever we're thinking in our head, like the sensation of overwhelm, and we're thinking we have too much to do. Okay. That's a good example. I don't have enough time. That's a common one. Essentially, your emotions are in alignment with the infinite wisdom of the system itself. And they know, hey, there's something about what you're believing right now that's untrue. We've just never been taught that. We often get taught that that distressed emotion is confirmation that what we're believing is true. When in reality, it's your body speaking to you, saying, hey, you're believing something that's limiting you from the abundance of possibility that's out there for your life. There's something about it that's untrue, okay? And when we suspend judgment of our emotions and we start to notice them, which is like, oh, I get it. Okay. What is that anxiety about? Oh, I'm believing I have too much to do today. And then I'm going to give you the next process to help you walk through, well, what do I do instead? We can shift this very easily. Now, I've talked a lot and I like to take breaks in between my presentation. What's come up from you guys? Just from that little bit, what aha moments? What's new? What's come up? And we can pause and do a bit of live coaching. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see y'all better. Any questions? Lance, you've got one? If you want to just unmute.
Yeah, not so much a question, but when you say stay in the flow, I love those words because you and I have talked previously about, that analogy I have about like a diner and you're the cook. And let's say there's a second cook and that cook calls in sick that wet day. And all of a sudden the lunch rush starts. And normally you're used to being able to, multitask and have a friend there. And anyways, it's that sort of overwhelm thing, right? Where we've got too much to do and you see the crowd coming or the list of tasks coming and you panic. And the minute you panic, everything goes to hell. Like you can't do anything, right? So it's conscious now. Like I'm constantly telling myself, even if I'm overloaded, stay in the flow. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger. Like just keep moving through the, you know what I mean? And for me, it's just a really helpful analogy all the time to like, yes, you're going to get overwhelmed, but if you panic, it all falls apart. You still have to be able to keep going and execute on, the things you can manage in that given amount of time. But to your point, it's like if you let your brain take over, it just cancels everything. You're now no longer creative. You're now no longer functioning. I wrestle with it, as I'm sure a lot of us do. And so I really appreciate that sort of and the numbers, 36 and a half weeks, like whatever it is, how much panic goes in the entrepreneur's day. If you can't pull yourself out of it, you lose so much productivity and you're exhausted by the end of the day or the week, right? So
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is one of those very helpful metaphors that keep us. And you're absolutely right. And here's why. So Lance set us all up for success here. Thank you, Lance. And I appreciate, Richard, you put, taking control of your emotions. Right? Emotions are not something that we talk our way out of. They are behaviors at a cellular level. They require understanding, and then through that, they shift on their own. Think about moments in your life where in one instance, one thought shifted in your head and your emotional state just changed on its own, right? That's the power of mindset work. I'm going to show you a visual graphic of what's going on. It's called the belief result feedback loop, okay? Because we need to be able to pause and just say, okay, what might I be believing that is moving my body into fight, flight, or freeze, and then creating a result that I don't want, right? Like the one Lance and I have used. The busload of 8th graders are here and they're all hungry and I got to make the burgers, right? I either get to believe, oh, crumb, we can't do this. I can't do this. We don't have enough, right? Or we move into what is true about our capability. And through that, we're the cook that, oh my goodness, it's just flowing and everybody's loving their food and things just work out better. It's the same with you guys as entrepreneurs in your business. When you're in flow energy, things just click. More gets done. Clients are more satisfied. And then through that, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to show you why that is graphically. Okay. And then we'll have a nice little chunk of time for some live coaching if you'll want. Okay. Okay, Lisa, can everybody see that? It says I'm sharing, just want to make sure. Okay, so this is a tool. Y'all are welcome to screenshot and share, print this up, okay? We've all heard meme-worthy stuff in personal development 1.0 and fantastic leaders who've had great quotes like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. We've heard in personal development things like self-fulfilling prophecy. One of the things that I do different as a mindset coach is I'm always in a mode of, I'm going to teach you and train you what I'm doing while I'm doing it so that you can replicate it. You can become your own mindset coach the other 29 days of the month when you're not on a phone call with me. Okay. This is one of the tools that I provide. So you guys, this is yours to keep and use. It's called a belief result feedback loop. Essentially, we start getting very, very aware that our beliefs are decisions. Beliefs are not this puffy cloud thing. Like they are formed in childhood. They are picked up from conception through age 7. They are picked up passively when we cannot reject beliefs. But now that we're adults, what's going on is beliefs are decisions in this supercomputer that we have. Okay. So when we believe we don't have enough time, we essentially are giving our body a command to say, hey, we've made a decision. We don't have enough time. If we believe we can't afford something or we don't have enough of something, we have made a decision. And here's why. And this is what gives you that hamster wheel effect. And we can shift this consciously now. Okay. So belief, I don't have enough time. Now we paint, this is subconscious going on. Now we have an experience like, We're trying to get out the door for a doctor's appointment, and our kids are, right, they're dilly-dallying, and we have this image going across our head of being late, and we're always late, and we're always in a rush, and we're always in a hurry, right? It's glimpses, it's thoughts. It's this, I call it the Stephen King version of it will fail, I will fail, it will be a failure, right? These thoughts and images are attached. Those thoughts drive our emotions. Our emotions, if you look at them now as a bridge that are saying whether you're believing and thinking something that's true or not, whether they feel good or not, whichever you're feeling, it's going to drive you to actions. So say in this scenario, we get frustrated, right? Now we're raising our voice. We're on autopilot essentially. And so if y'all are like me, hollering at your kids, please put on your shoes. 15 minutes of mental energy trying to get these kids put on their shoes. Where's your shoes? I don't know where your shoes are, right? And see, we get a result. I'm late again. We're 5 minutes late again. Okay. Versus in the moment, recognizing beliefs are decisions. If I believe we're going to be late, I just decided we're going to be late without worrying about the how. Okay, body, I sense that fight or flight, but what's true? There's more than enough time to do the things that I'm called to do today. Okay, that's an empowered decision, and it feels good when you say it. Right? It feels good. You can have a laundry list of things to do, all the things to do, and reset your belief first without worrying about it. There's more than enough time to do the things that I must get done today. Okay, what are those priorities? Now we're in proactive action taking mode. Now we have this new image that we can create of our day, of calmly going through it. Calmly walking with your kids. Let's put your shoes on. It takes 30 seconds. We feel at peace. We feel confident. We know there's a lot of things to do. We're not sugarcoating the things to do. We're not sitting on a private island with Mai Tais. There's not, right, with nothing to do. We are real people in the real world using the power of mindset to benefit our lives, our families, and our businesses. But now we have a sense of flow. We have a sense of confidence. We stack that evidence and we take actions differently. Now we go and calmly help our kid with the shoes. We're abiding in that. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And now we have the result of, okay, we are almost always on time places. Okay. This is the power of this alone. When you give yourself permission to make a new decision. It's as simple as, I believed I was going to have tacos for dinner tonight. That's a decision. I'm going to have tacos for dinner tonight. Now I can give myself permission. I believe I want pizza instead. I'm going to give myself permission to make a new decision and have pizza instead. It's the exact same with the big decisions in your life, the business decisions, the hiring decisions, the firing decisions, the scaling decisions. When you give yourself permission to start with the belief, what happens is you have all this momentum to new actions. Whereas most life coaches, mindset coaches, and most personal development really points you, y'all can see my arrow moving, right? Most personal development focuses on actions first, right? This is why New Year's resolutions usually fail. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to work out 5 times a week, right? We focus on the actions and we want new results. And we don't pay attention to, well, if I believe I don't have enough time to work out, and I believe working out is boring, and I believe I have to do it in this certain way, like an hour with and that I really don't like that. And we lock ourselves in, then we struggle and we fail to change our actions and get new results. Versus if we spend a little bit of time first connecting into, what new beliefs do I need to get the result that I want? And change your beliefs first. Build a new image and a new picture. Watch your feelings and emotions shift naturally. You have all this momentum. It's like dominoes now, where we just topple this first one, belief, and everything else click, 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 clicks into action, new actions, and new results. That's the power of mindset work. So you can print this out. Notice when you're not getting the results that you want, reverse engineer, just walk through this, like map it out. You can scratch paper, draw each one and say, what would the opposite be? What would the opposite be here? What would it look like here? Write that out and then focus on that as you move forward in your life and your business. Okay. I hope that's a really beautiful practical tool that y'all can print out and apply on a day-to-day basis. I have several more tools, but I don't want to inadvertently overwhelm anybody with too much information. What questions do you guys have for me? What coaching? We can do live coaching to walk through this as well with the remainder of our time. I think we've got about 15 minutes, Lisa. I don't know if there's anything else on the agenda that you have for the group.
No, whatever. I want to say, I can start the ball rolling. I want to say that graphic for me is perfect, because I'll have, like you said, the to-do list that's, as long as my arm, and I don't have enough time. And rather than set priorities that I should do this and chunk it off at one at a time, I get into the overwhelm and, oh, well, I'm just not going to do anything. What's on TV?
Mm-hmm.
So that just sums it up perfectly for me.
Great. I found consistently, this is I have about 5 tools, and we build a toolbox together as a coach and client. And that's keep it wash, rinse, repeat. Truth is always simple. So processes, when they're simple, we actually do them. We actually apply them. So we don't need PhDs in psychology to be like, hey, we can train our own brains and take new actions with higher flow and energy. So it's a beautiful process to watch.
Thank you.
Okay.
Francis, you made a statement that what new beliefs I need to make, and I kind of drifted off. And could you repeat that?
Yes. So when you start with the results, getting clear on what you want instead of what's going on right now. So can you give me a specific situation and then I can walk you through this?
Yes. Let's say I have a large project that I have to prepare for. And so therefore I'm in the kitchen and bath remodeling industry. So, and so it's, I want to make sure that I get everything lined up. My subs are all lined up. I have the paperwork to give them. I have permits already taken. And so we're ready to rock and roll. So that's my process, so to speak, but I can get overwhelmed.
Okay. So when you are in the moment of being overwhelmed, what's going on? What's overwhelming?
Well, everything that I have to do and to make sure that I get it right.
Okay, so I have to get it right. Maybe, and when we're live coaching, we go a little bit faster. If we were doing this one-on-one, we'd have 50 minutes to explore a little bit deeper. But it's probably not self-talk of like, we've got all of our ducks in a row and this is going to go so smoothly. What is it instead that causes the overwhelm? The 3, 4, 5 word little sentences about your subs or about the situation.
Well, that their schedules line up with mine, that, we don't have interruptions, that materials can get delivered on time.
So the overwhelm might be some what if statements, like what if it doesn't get delivered on time? What if their schedules don't line up? Am I on track?
Yes.
Kind of in that realm of thought. Okay. So you did really, really well there. Thank you. Here's a thing to pay attention to. When you have beliefs, if they are what if statements, kind of like open-ended statements, and then we have that image, right? The image attaches of the not good version, the unsuccessful version. You can take that open-ended or what if or question and turn it into, well, okay, the belief would be, this is not going to go well. This is not going to go efficiently or smoothly. Does that make sense? Am I tracking there?
Yes, yeah.
Right. And now now we have this mental image of what that looks like. Then you said the emotion is overwhelm. And then what happens when you're in a state of overwhelm? What actions do you take or don't take?
Well, it's confusion, I guess, arises, and you're not as efficient as you could be.
Exactly. Right. And then we create the result. We always get results for what we're believing by definition. Okay. So what we want to do is give ourselves permission to make a new decision. So what do you want instead? In one sentence, what would you want instead?
I would want the process to go smoothly.
Okay. So my processes in my business go smoothly. I can create processes that go smoothly. What would that look like instead? You got to paint that mental image. Okay. So we're checking in. Our belief is in alignment with what we want, the result we want. Now, what image would that look like? Would it be efficient communication? What would that look like?
That the subs show up on time, they're doing the work they're supposed to be doing, the materials are there in a timely manner, the inspectors get there and we pass all the inspections and stuff like that.
Beautiful. Okay. And if that's happening, right? How does that feel?
Feels wonderful because the client's happy and I'm happy. That's what makes me, that motivates me, is when the clients are thrilled.
Beautiful. And then from there, right now we're taking actions faster because we're confident in our team. We're confident in our process and our capability to create that efficiency. And then now we're in a whole new loop and we're focused on that over and over and over again. Do you see how that, right? That's a flow energy. And it starts with, in the moment, what am I believing subconsciously? Is that helpful? We just want to check, or is what
Yes.
I'm believing about myself, about the other people, or about the experience itself? Is what I'm believing about the thing in alignment with what I want to do, okay, or to be done? Is that helpful?
Yes, and it's also, I guess, your belief that you give yourself permission to make a mistake as well.
Absolutely. And learn from it, right? Very, very much so. Awesome.
I have a
Thank you.
question.
Okay. Brandy's got a question. Yes.
So what I was hearing from what Richard is saying is something that I guess I have an issue with too. I think maybe most of us who are in a leadership position often have this issue, and that a lot of our stress comes from the fact that we cannot control the situation, and we cannot control the responsibilities that we put on other people. And the stress comes in the fact, not about that we are trying to control them, but that we put responsibilities on other people and they do or do not follow through and take care of what they were supposed to be doing. And so some of our stress and our worry and our emotions come from the fact that because we're responsible people, we want to make sure that that gets done. And I work with so many people in the construction industry. So I'm right there with you, Richard, because we stay up at night, we freak out at night because we are worried exactly what he's talking about, that they're not going to get their things done. And unfortunately, we live in a world where
you've got lots of evidence for that.
We have lots of evidence against what the belief is. We can believe all we want that this is going to be the nicest, smoothest sailing, wonderful project. And especially in the construction world, let's go with the statistics, but 9 out of 10 times it does not go smoothly. What you see on HGTV is not reality. That project that gets done in an hour was probably a month's worth of work with 10 different people behind the scenes that you're not seeing, and everything didn't get delivered on time, and the furniture that was supposed to be there didn't, whatever. So that's not a reality for most of us. And no matter what our jobs are, the things that are supposed to fall in place and that we dream about falling in place so how do we deal with that? So our good intentions are that we're, everything's going to be great. And I don't know about everybody here, and maybe this goes back to belief systems, but my favorite belief that I was given, and I think it's really good if everybody can think about this, is every day's a new day. So no matter how bad your day was before, no matter, you get up and it's a new day, start fresh, here we go. But
you're doing really well. And I really do want to affirm you. And I do have several clients in the construction industry. So I know that the power of this, even within the dynamic that you guys are talking about, I have seen the shift here. Okay. So I really do want to acknowledge you. You do have a lot of evidence, and it's real evidence. That's the point. Okay. We always get evidence for what we believe. So essentially, your limiting belief, and I have more tools. It's just for a short time span here. I have one called a decision matrix. I debated whether doing it or not, but this is that next layer in it. Okay, so I'm going to walk y'all through it here. Okay, when we believe something as simple as people do not follow up, they do, or follow through, they do not follow through. Okay, it's a belief. Now, the thoughts, the conscious thoughts, this has a lot to do with your reticular activating system. Y'all know where you buy a car and the same day you see 10 of the same make, model, color of car, that experience. Okay, when you buy that car, you subconsciously made a new decision. This is the best car for me. Out of the thousands of options, I made a decision, this is the best car, okay? The brain itself on a neurophysiological level reorients. So y'all didn't have to do anything, no effort whatsoever to see those cars all of a sudden. That's your reticular activating system. That's the part of your brain that literally filters out 97% of all of the millions of data points around you in any given minute. Those cars were always there. Your subconscious mind literally would not allow you to see it until you made a new decision. It's the same thing with anything in life, okay? Essentially, emotions, and this is where we get a bit more deep work. Emotions are the vibrational energy. We just don't get trained that joy feels, it's a vibration of truth. Confidence, it's a vibration of truth. Faith, okay, versus distrust, okay, it's a vibration of untruth. So when you think about your emotions, think about a radio. Okay, for one, your reticular activating system is not allowing you to see the reliable people out there that they want to show up and follow through and be on time and be craftsmen. Your brain literally won't let you see them, even though they're on the road. They're there, okay? So this takes an element of faith, of giving yourself permission to make a new decision about people without the evidence yet, okay? Then as you do that and you build this new image, your brain operates off of images. There's so much research on when you visualize something, your brain is actually recording it like it's real, like it's a memory, and it is figuring out the how for you. Well, how? How do I get people that follow through? How do I get people that show up on time, right? Your brain gives you new ideas, new awarenesses. It activates coincidence. And the reason is because now we're in a different emotional state. That vibration, the frequency, it is very scientific. It is not woo-woo stuff. Think about a radio, okay? When you turn on the jazz station, where's the rock and roll frequency? It's still in the room. Those vibrations are still in the room. You're just not on the channel to hear them yet, okay? You're literally, when you walk in a room and somebody, don't even have to talk to you, and you're like, you can feel their energy. You're like, oh, something's off there, right? We've all had that experience. That's where emotions come in, okay? So when we give ourselves permission to make a new decision first, then we paint the image of what we want and we focus on that. Now, literally, we change our frequency, our energy. And the people actually, we're tuned in to see them. And this is where law of attraction, I never coach on a law of attraction. It's kind of a perversion of the law of cause and effect, right? We take an action, cause, we get an effect, action, effect. That's how really what's going on. But we change energetically, and people do. We start seeing those reliable people. We start attracting those reliable people. We start changing our expectations and our communication, our processes. We lead them to be, following through, lead them to the dynamic we want. And then step by step, this is not a magic wand where tomorrow you wake up and everybody's reliable, right? Because that's not what this is. It's about increasing the likelihood of creating what you want or increasing the likelihood of what you don't want. Okay. It's literally the difference of you go to a restaurant and the waiter comes up and here you are, you're excited. You have a plan to have a great night out. And the waiter comes up and they're not behaving in alignment with high customer service, right? We have two choices. We can move into distress. They are being rude. And now what are we going to do? Our fight, flight, or freeze has kicked in, and we non-verbally and verbally are communicating in a way where we're putting that energy, that frequency out and increasing the likelihood of what? Them just being ruder, essentially, right? We get into conflict versus knowing the power of your belief about that person and creating that space. We suspend judgment and enter curious observation. Okay, I get it, body. I felt the fight, flight, or freeze because I'm here wanting a nice dinner and they're not behaving in alignment with my boundaries and values. Okay, I'm going to have a good night here. Okay, waiter. And now we communicate differently with them. I see how hard you're working. I've been a waiter before. I know. I don't even know what y'all got going over there, but I see how hard you're working. I just want to let you know we're going to have a great time at this table. We're a great customer. And you know what? I'm going to ask for like lemons and ranch, and I'm totally that person, but I tip really good. So please don't worry about us. 9 times out of 10, what will that person do? Brandy, right? Their fight, flight, or freeze will calm down and they will respond differently. Now, on the off chance, right? Because we're not waving magic wands and changing and controlling people. You brought up a very valid point, but we are increasing the likelihood of getting the outcome we wanted just then by understanding the power of what we're believing in that moment and giving ourselves permission to make a different decision. Now, on the off chance they're the one person that doesn't want to play in our boundaries. Now we're still in confidence. We don't feel we need to control them, but we can stay in that confident mode and say, I'd really like to talk to your manager. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know what's going on with them, but we're really here to have a good night. And they're not really behaving in alignment with high customer service. We'd prefer a different waiter. Boom. Right? It's about you and the insight, what you are believing and how that increases. Are we going to attract people to our construction business with high follow through, right? High go-getter attitude, right? That I don't have to micromanage. And what can I do up here to increase the likelihood of creating that? So is that helpful? Because you brought up very valid points.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. Yeah. It almost seems like magic sometimes when you get into it and you really start applying it and just shift what I'm believing, shift what I'm believing, and paint that new image. You really do. You can change your money mindset, your mindset on time management versus activity management, and really the way you interact with the team that you're building in your business. Okay. Awesome. We're right here at the end of our time. Any other questions? Any other support that y'all need or want? No?
Frances, thank you so much. And I know you shared your calendar link, and we will send an email. I've recorded this.
I didn't share it. I sent it to you. I'm going to pop it in.
Okay.
If any of you, there's my calendar link. If any of you are interested in coaching with me, I do concierge coaching. There's no pre-done packages. It's really, we have a conversation and you say, here's where I'm at in my business. Here's where I want to go. And we come up with a plan. I would love to have a conversation with you. If you have any questions about the material, I don't go into any conversation. It's not a sales call. It's a service call. So if you guys just have questions and you want to chat, please know that I'm here to support you. You'll get the added bonus because Lisa's one of my favorite clients. So I'm here to help y'all, support y'all. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to be there for you along the way. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being here this morning.
Yes, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, a powerful one, and take care.
Thanks so much.
Bye,
See you
y'all.
soon.
Bye.